Discover the amazing life-changing act that healed a billionaire's son after his mother's death, in the heart of Maplewood, where cherry blossoms danced in the spring breeze and children laughed as they played on the sidewalk. The Harrington family was a glowing beacon of happiness. The picturesque home of Sarah and her family radiated warmth and love. But ever since the news broke about Sarah Harrington's sudden passing, the charm of Maplewood felt tainted by sorrow. Alex Harrington, her son a billionaire in his 30s, was now wrapped in curtains of grief, hidden within the cold walls of his sprawling mansion. How could a man with so much lose so much joy? As the town watched from the edges, filled with compassion yet hesitant to intrude, whispers of sadness rustled like leaves blown in a storm. Alex was a figure many revered but knew nothing about wealth, status, and success piled around him like a fortress. But behind those grand doors, Alex battled an intense sorrow, his heart a river of pain devoid of warmth, hidden from the very community that once brought him and his mother so much joy. Though the townspeople were unsure how to reach out, Grace, a caring nurse at the local clinic, ignited that spark of hope. Long hours and meager pay filled her days, but her heart brimmed with love for the community and for Sarah, who had inspired her immeasurably during her illness. She decided to organize a fundraiser, a way not just to honor Sarah's legacy but also to raise awareness for mental health, something Grace held close to her own experiences. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night of the fundraiser arrived, and it felt electric in the community center, the air thick with shared memories, laughter, and an overwhelming sense of connection. When Alex reluctantly stepped through the doors, he was met with joyous cheers from neighbors, some he hadn't interacted with in years. Their love wrapped around him like a warm blanket, and for a moment, he felt less alone, but a quiet encounter with Tom, a retired veteran, transformed the night. Tom spoke of loss and the spirit of community that pulls one through the darkest times. The weight of Alex's wealth hit him a brick wall that did nothing to mend his heartache. As Tom's words sank in, Alex was caught between the life of privilege and his desire for genuine human connection, igniting a war within. Just then, a sudden crisis erupted at the fundraiser, pulling at the seams of tranquility. Disparities between Alex's opulent life and the struggles of his neighbors began to surface, thrusting Alex into a whirlpool of self-reflection. Here he stood at a crossroads of privilege and responsibility, contemplating whether to weave himself back into the fabric of the community or retreat once more into the solitude that had become his only comfort. Would he find a way to turn his heartache into purpose, or would he remain an island, watching what mattered slip away? The night held answers, but the questions lingered as everyone awaited his next move. The tension in the air thickened as Alex stood frozen, the cheers fading into a distant hum. His eyes scanned the community center, taking in the faces of neighbors who genuinely cared. They didn't want his money, they wanted him. A piece of him surged with longing to connect, to share in the rawness of life. Yet another part felt tethered to the mansion that had become a prison of his own making. "What do you need me to do?" The question slipped out before he had even consciously made the decision to speak. The words felt foreign yet freeing. Tom's eyes lit up, shining with a fierce determination that stoked Alex's own flickering hope. "Just be here," Tom replied, his voice steady. "Share your story. Let us in." With that simple request, deep emotions roiled within Alex. It reminded him of nights spent with Sarah, where her warmth seeped into his skin like sunray through a window. He felt a tug toward that familiarity, a reminder that love could still find a way, even amid despair. As the night progressed, stories began to flow. A woman shared her battle with depression, a young man spoke of the challenges faced after returning from military service. The weight of their struggles felt heavy yet liberating. Each testimonial breathed life into an understanding that transcended wealth or status. It wasn't just Alex's loss. It was a chorus of heartache interwoven with hope. With each story, the walls around him crumbled. Laughter erupted from memories that were being forged anew, and for the first time in weeks, Alex felt a glimmer of something he thought was lost joy. It seemed like a luxury reserved for those untouched by tragedy. But here, among neighbors and strangers, he understood that healing could be a shared experience. "Will you help me?" he eventually asked the room, swallowing back the unexpected lump in his throat. "I want to do more for mental health the way my mom would have wanted. I want us to create something lasting, something that connects us." Silence enveloped the room before it erupted in applause. A feeling of unity pulled them together, transforming the fundraiser into a melting pot of shared purpose. Standing in front of them, Alex felt lighter, as if a weight he didn't know he was carrying had finally been lifted. Plans began to take shape. Together, they discussed workshops, community events, scholarships for those struggling to receive help. It was more than just action, it was hope woven through the fabric of their lives. In that moment, Alex realized he wasn't just healing, he was starting to inspire others to do the same. But just as the atmosphere began to twinkle with possibilities, a sharp sound pierced the ebb of celebration. The doors swung open, revealing a newcomer, a person from Alex's past, whose presence threatened to unravel everything he had begun to stitch back together. Gasps filtered through the crowd. Murmurs of confusion followed. "Is that?" someone whispered. Alex's heart raced. Would this returner bring more heartbreak? Could he still forge a new path as old shadows crept back? The night, so filled with promise, now teetered precariously on the edge of chaos. As eyes turned toward the newcomer, questions loomed like dark clouds overhead. What did they want? And would this truly be a night of healing or one filled with heart-wrenching revelations? The newcomer stepped into the light, and for a heart-stopping moment, Alex felt as if the room swirled around him. Brown hair, freckled skin, and those familiar amber eyes. It was Emily. Years had passed since he'd last seen her, yet she seemed just as he remembered. "Alex," she breathed, her voice a fragile echo of familiarity. The laughter, once a warm blanket, felt like frost against Alex's skin. He had buried feelings deep, a mix of anger and confusion. Memories of their time together flickered painfully in his mind, like a film reel stuck on the worst scenes. Tom stood beside Alex, eyeing the newcomer with cautious intensity. "Do you want me to handle this?" he asked, a low murmur laced with concern. "No," Alex replied, surprising even himself. "I need to do this." He felt the collective gaze of the room, the weight of their expectations pressed against his chest. Drawing a deep breath, he stepped forward, a wave of determination washing over him. "Emily," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "What are you doing here?" She hesitated, and for a brief second, Alex thought she might turn and leave. Instead, she took a step closer. The nervous energy crackled between them. "I heard about the fundraiser. I'm so sorry for your loss and for how it ended between us." A silence followed, heavy and charged. "Sorry?" he echoed, his heart twisting. "You left without a word. You just vanished." She flinched as if his words struck her. "I know. I thought it was what you needed. Time apart. I thought it would help both of us heal. But it didn't." He snapped, feeling anger rise like a tide. "You hurt me, and when I needed you most, you were gone." Around him, the crowd exchanged concerned glances. Alex realized he was no longer just speaking to her, he was speaking for all the moments lost, all the threads of connection that had frayed between them. "I shouldn't have walked away," she admitted, her voice breaking on the last syllable. "I was scared, Alex. I didn't know how to support you after your mom. But I want to try now." With each word, the tension in Alex's chest shifted. He felt the cracks forming in the barriers he had built around his heart. "Try. Do you even understand what that means? It doesn't just erase the past." "No," she said softly, her eyes pleading. "But I want to help you move forward. I'm here to share this moment. To be a part of something meaningful, to make up for all the time lost. A murmur spread through the audience, as if the weight of Emily's declaration gripped everyone. Memories of joy and anger tangled together within Alex. Should he let her in again? Would she leave once more when the going got tough? Is it too late for us? She asked, her voice trembling, the air around Alex electrified with anticipation. Behind him, Tom whispered words of encouragement. All around, neighbors who had shared their pain watched with bated breath, each holding on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, second chances were possible even in the deepest of sorrows. As he looked into Emily's eyes, a flood of memories washed over him. Could he forge a new connection from the ashes of the old? With his heart racing, ready to choose, the moment hung like a pendulum ready to swing. What would he decide? And then, just as hope began to swell, a new sound shattered the tension, a phone vibrating insistently on a nearby table, followed by another voice calling out across the room, "There's a crisis we need to address." Alex's world shifted once more, the decision slipping from his grasp as the weight of another challenge loomed ahead. What crisis could pull him away from this moment, and would it change everything he thought he knew? Alex's heart sank as chaos erupted around him. The moment he had longed for, the chance to confront Emily, seemed to slip away completely. He turned towards the source of the commotion. A woman in a crisp blazer stood near the entrance, her face pale but determined. The urgency in her voice managed to slice through the tension hanging in the air. "It's Mia," she said, her breath coming in shallow gasps. "She's missing." A chill crept through the crowd, eyes darting nervously as the reality settled in. Mia was the daughter of one of the prominent sponsors of the fundraiser, a young girl whose laughter had filled the event just moments before. Alex's stomach twisted at the thought, fear shuddering through him. "I need everyone's help," the woman continued, her voice unwavering despite the fear gripping her. "She was last seen near the back of the building. Please, if anyone has seen anything, we need you to look." In an instant, Alex's instincts kicked in. The shift in worry from his own heartache to the desperate search for Mia made the memories of his own loss feel less insurmountable. He glanced at Emily, whose gaze mirrored his shock. Unresolved feelings pulsed in the air, but they both understood there was no time for it now. They shifted priorities, united in a common goal. "Let us go," he urged, his voice firm. "We can split up." Tom, who had been frozen in place, shook himself out of his daze. "I'll check the front, see if anyone has seen her outside. Emily, you take the west wing with Alex." Nodding, Emily moved instinctively to Alex's side, their past issues suddenly feeling trivial in the face of potential danger. Together, they rushed through the crowd, pushing their way towards the back of the building. "Why would she be missing?" Emily asked breathlessly, worry etched on her features. "I don't know," Alex replied, swallowing his fear. Maybe she wandered off, but even as he said it, a shadow of dread whispered that it could be more serious. They reached a hallway that led to an outdoor area. A cold wind brushed against him, chilling him to the bone. Outside, the stars twinkled against the dark sky, but that beauty felt overshadowed by the unknown. They called Mia's name, their voices echoing into the still night. Each second felt like an eternity. Alex's heart raced not just with concern for Mia, but with a growing sense of urgency. He could feel Emily beside him, her presence both comforting and distracting. Every time he glanced at her, memories of laughter and shared moments resurfaced, yet they felt hazy under the weight of the current crisis. As they turned the corner, Alex spotted a figure in the distance. It was small and hunched, sitting at the edge of the garden. His stomach dropped, hope rushing through him, but could it really be her? "Is that?" Emily's voice trailed off, disbelief painted across her face. That he hurried forward, unsure of what he would find. Was it Mia? Or was it something else entirely, another layer to his complicated night, the layers that had just begun to unwind? "Mia!" he shouted desperately, as he closed the distance, the world shrinking around him. What he saw next would challenge everything he felt he understood about loss, about hope, and about the ties that bind people together in their darkest moments. Would this turn of events bring him closer to Emily or push them apart even further? As Alex rushed forward, every frantic heartbeat drummed in his ears. The figure was still too distant, but he could almost convince himself it was Mia. He could see the outline, a small girl, hunched, her curls dancing in the soft breeze. His mind raced toward the worst scenarios. Had she fallen? Was she hurt? Mia. He called again, this time louder and more forceful, desperation creeping into his voice. He could feel Emily beside him, her hand reaching out, but he focused solely on the small figure. When they finally reached her, Alex's heart plummeted. It wasn't Mia. It was a girl, no older than 10, sitting on the ground, her face streaked with tears. But as they neared, he realized it was not fear that carved the lines on her cheeks, it was the kind of startled grief that knocked breath from lungs. "Are you okay?" Emily knelt beside the girl, her voice soft, soothing. The girl looked up, her wide eyes glistening under the moonlight. I am fine," she stammered, though her quivering lip told a different story. "I lost my puppy." The words sank like stones in Alex's stomach. Here they were, desperate to find a lost child, only to be met with the smaller tragedy of a lost pet. He exchanged a quick glance with Emily, uncertainty flickering between them. They were supposed to be looking for Mia, yet this child needed help too. "Okay," Alex said, his voice steadier than he felt. "What's your puppy's name?" "Charlie," the girl said, blinking rapidly, trying to contain her tears. "He ran away because of all the noise. I had him right here. Let us help you find him," Emily urged, a motherly instinct shining through her usual demeanor. Alex admired her ability to calm the girl, even as anxiety twisted in his own chest. "If we can find Charlie, maybe we'll find Mia too," Alex said, trying to reason with himself. It was a stretch, but perhaps it was true. A single sense of loss could very well connect them all. The girl nodded, her expression changing from despair to determination. "He was headed that way," she pointed toward the shadows of the garden. "I think he was scared." With a shared understanding, they set off, Alex leading the way. Darkness enveloped them, the soft rustling of leaves intensifying the quiet, broken only by the girl's occasional calls for her puppy. Each step felt heavy, charged with uncertainty. Time loomed, the clock was ticking for Mia, but they couldn't abandon this girl. They searched through the garden, calling out names, hearing only the distant echoes of their voices merging with the wind. The air was thick with worry, every rustle making Alex jump. What if we don't find either of them? He thought, panic lurking at the edges of his mind, but just as doubt threatened to overwhelm him, a soft whimper broke through the silence. The sound was faint, but there was a sweetness to it, a desperate little cry that pierced through the chilling air. "There!" The girl's face lit up with hope. "Charlie!" Rushing into the bushes, Alex pushed aside branches, revealing a small, trembling puppy with expressive eyes. His heart soared momentarily, but reality crashed down as he turned, the puppy in hand. "Charlie!" The girl cheered, but when she hugged him, Alex could feel the weight of another call for help pulling at his heart. "Mia," he murmured, looking toward the darkness that still lay beyond the garden. He glanced at Emily, their shared sense of urgency rising once more. Beneath the stars, he thought, maybe it's still not too late to find her, but how far had they drifted from the last place she might have been? "Come on, we need to keep searching," he said, determination igniting in his chest. As they left the warmth of the girl's small victory behind, he couldn't shake the feeling that Mia was still waiting for them somewhere out there, alone and afraid. Did they have enough time left to find her? What if she needed them now more than ever? The deeper they ventured into the garden, the darker the shadows loomed. Alex's heart raced with every step. Even with the grateful girl clinging to Charlie, worry wrapped around him like a heavy fog. The garden was vast, and the distant feeling of urgency pressed against his chest. "Where do we go next?" Emily spoke, drawing him from his thoughts. Her voice was laced with nervous energy, but it was steady. He appreciated that. "I remember the trees by the lake," he answered, shaking off the heaviness that had settled in. Mia loved that place. They spent countless afternoons there, laughing and splashing in the water. The memory flickered like a light in the haze. If she heard some noise or was scared, she might be gone there. "Okay, let us head to the lake," Emily said with renewed determination, her voice stronger now. Together, they turned from the bushes and started towards the path leading out of the garden. The girl followed closely behind them, Charlie nestled in her arms, his tail wagging with excitement. Even in the midst of their own panic, Alex marveled at the bond between the girl and her puppy. That innocent joy struck a chord deep within him, a reminder of the relentless hope they all clung to. If only that hope could encompass Mia too. "Charlie won't abandon you," Alex said softly, glancing back at the girl. "You both will be all right." He meant it, desperately wishing to pass on some comfort. But she only nodded, her eyes darting back and forth, still searching the shadows. It was as if she could sense the echoes of disappointment just behind the branches they passed. "Do you think Mia is scared?" the girl asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm scared." Alex took a breath as he considered her words. He could feel the burden of his responsibility weighing heavily. "She might be, but we're going to find her. Just like you found Charlie." Emily shot him an appreciative glance, a silent understanding passing between them. It wasn't just about finding Mia anymore, it was about holding each other as fears, supporting them all through this darkness. As they neared the lake, the wind picked up, sending a shiver down Alex's spine. The water glistened under the moonlight, rippling softly like the heartbeats they all shared. "Mia!" he called again, louder this time, his voice breaking over the tranquil sounds of the night. A heartbeat later, there was silence. No answer came, just the gentle rustle of leaves and the scurry of a few small creatures hidden in the underbrush. Each second felt like a lifetime. "I thought I heard something," Emily said suddenly, her eyes wide with hope. "What?" Alex and the girl asked in unison, straining to listen. A low sound reached their ears, a muffled wail, echoing through the trees, just beyond the lake. Panic surged back into Alex's veins. Was it Mia? Without thinking, he rushed towards the sound, determination propelling him forward. "Mia!" he shouted, fear clawing its way to the surface again. The girl and Emily hurried after him, whispering encouragement to each other as they dashed through the brush. With every step, Alex felt his stomach churn. They couldn't be too late. Not now. Not when they were so close. He pushed onward, driven by a wild blend of hope and dread. As they reached the edge of the lake, the air crackled with tension. The light of the moon painted silvery patterns on the water, and just then, a figure emerged from behind the trees. "Mia!" he called, breathless, a wave of relief washing over him, but uncertainty still gripped his heart. Would she step forward, or would she remain lost in the shadows? It was a moment of truth hanging like ripe fruit in the night air. What if they weren't ready for what they might find? Alex's throat tightened as the figure stepped into the moonlight. It wasn't Mia. The shadowy outline resolved into the familiar shape of a tall man, his features hard to discern in the dimness. Panic bubbled anew in Alex's chest. "Who are you?" he called, his voice quaking with uncertainty. The man raised his hands, palms out. "I'm not here to hurt you." His voice was firm, but it was tinged with kindness. "I'm looking for someone too." Emily stepped closer to Alex, the girl clutching Charlie tighter as the puppy whined softly. "What do you mean? Who are you looking for?" "My daughter," the man replied, his expression shifting from caution to something softer, more vulnerable. "She was playing near the lake. I lost sight of her. If you've seen a little girl, please tell me." The weight of Alex's own worry pressed down on him harder in that moment. "We're looking for a girl named Mia," he said, a sense of desperation creeping into his voice. She's missing." At those words, the man's face seemed to pale. "Mia? I've heard her name. I think she's here. We have to find her." With a new urgency, they moved as one, the urgency and fear tangling together in the cool night air. Every shadow felt alive now, every rustling leaf a reminder of the unknown. Alex's pulse hammered in his ears as they covered the ground faster. He glanced back at Emily, whose face mirrored his own anxious determination. The little girl was quiet, her trust resting in them, her eyes wide with concern. "Mia!" He shouted again, hoping that each echo would bring her closer. Another cry, this one a little clearer, was heard, slicing through the darkness, sending a bolt of electricity through Alex's veins. It was a call for help. "Mia!" he shouted, pushing past the panic threatening to overwhelm him. The man's face was taut with worry as they trudged forward. "This way!" Without hesitation, he turned towards a thicket of trees that loomed like giants, their branches reaching out. When they entered the thicket, the sounds of the lake seemed to fade, swallowed by the thick underbrush. Shadows danced menacingly, and the air felt thick and oppressive. Emily reached out for Alex's hand, squeezing it as if it were a lifeline. Just then, they stumbled upon a small clearing. Moonlight streamed through the breaks in the leaves, illuminating a spot where the ground dipped slightly. And there, crouched in the dirt, was Mia. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her little body trembling. "Mia!" Alex's voice broke as he rushed to her side. She looked up, eyes wide with shock and relief. "Alex? I was so scared!" she cried, flinging herself into his arms. He squeezed her tightly, breathing in the familiarity of her warmth and scent. She was safe. As they embraced, the world around them seemed to fade, but all too quickly, a sobering realization hit him. They weren't entirely out of the woods yet. Behind them, the man watched intently, concern etched on his face. "What about my daughter?" he asked, searching their eyes for an answer. The sorrow in his gaze snapped Alex's heart in two, forcing him to step back from the moment of joy he'd just experienced. With the moonlight shimmering over everything as if watching with bated breath, the reality began to set in. They had found Mia, but could they find the man's daughter too? The question lingered heavily in the air as doubt settled back in, preparing to cast another shadow over their fleeting moment of triumph. Were they truly safe, or was this just the beginning of yet another search? Alex's heart raced as he looked from Mia to the man, whose face was now etched with despair. "We have to look for her," he said, urgency threading his voice. Everyone's relief had been short-lived, and the weight of another child lost pressed on Alex's chest like a heavy stone. "Mia," he said, crouching to meet her gaze. "Are you okay?" She sniffled and wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "I was hiding, but I got scared." Emily knelt beside Mia, gently brushing her hair from her face. "You're brave," she said softly. "What's your name?" "Mia," she answered, still shaking slightly. She clung to Alex, seeming to draw strength from him. "Mia, we need to help find your friend, okay?" The man spoke, his voice steady yet pleading. "What's your friend's name?" "Evelyn," Mia whispered, her voice barely a breath. The name sent a chilling jolt through Alex. How close had they come to this little girl disappearing too? "Where did you see her last?" he asked, trying to maintain focus despite the swirling emotions. Mia pointed deeper into the thicket. "By the big tree by the water." The man nodded. "We should hurry. Time is of the essence." As they moved back into the shadows, Alex felt an urgency he had never known before. Each step felt heavy, the darkness closing in. He turned to Emily, who was straining to keep her hold on Mia. "Stay close," he urged, the flicker of fear tightening his throat again. They followed Mia's trembling pointer, moving deeper into the thick woods. The trees loomed overhead, their branches groaning against each other like whispers of lost secrets. "Mia," Alex said, "can you tell us what happened?" I was playing, and then Evelyn said she saw something shiny in the water. We went to look, but I lost her," it all came tumbling out. "Then I heard a noise and got scared and I just sat down." The guilt in Mia's gaze cut through Alex. This wasn't just a game of hide and seek, this was fear that no child should ever have to feel. They were racing against time now, his heart pounding with a rhythm that matched the echoing desperation in his mind. "Keep calling her name," he urged, taking a deep breath and shouting, "Evelyn! Where are you? Evelyn!" The man echoed, his voice breaking through the thick foliage. Their efforts melded into a chorus, voices bouncing off the bark and branches, deepening the shadows around them. Moments passed, each one stretching into eternity, dread creeping under their skin. "Mia, can you remember anything else?" Emily pressed as if keeping the little girl engaged might help. I think I heard splashing before." "It was close," she stammered, her gaze darting around in the dark. Alex stopped abruptly. "This way." He felt it in his gut, a pull drawing him toward the sound of water. The image of a child in danger fueled every step as they pushed forward, adrenaline coursing through him. As they neared the lake's edge, a slight sound caught their attention. It was just a whimper, faint but unmistakable. "Do you hear that?" he asked, stopping short. Yes, the man's face paled further, fear and hope colliding in his eyes as they followed the noise. "Mia, stay close," Alex instructed. They pushed through the final barrier of underbrush and emerged into a small clearing. The moonlight reflected off the water's surface, casting beams that danced like spirits around them. And there, just ahead, was the outline of movement, something small and struggling, half submerged. "Evelyn!" the man shouted, rushing forward. Alex grabbed his arm, urgency halting him. "Wait. We don't know what's happening." But it was too late. The man was already sprinting towards the water. Alex's pulse quickened, his gut telling him to act. "Help us!" he called out, not knowing if the plea was intended for the man or for the universe to intervene. As they crossed the shore, the truth loomed heavy. They had come too far to turn back now. The moment stretched, emotions hanging in the air like mist, soaring hope and crippling fear wrestling for control. With every second, it felt like they were teetering on the brink of something that would change their lives. Forever. "Mia, hold on." And as they reached the bright reflection of the moonlit water, dread loomed larger than ever. Would they find Evelyn? Or would this moment shatter their fragile peace once again? The moonlight spilled across the water, illuminating the frantic scene as Alex's heart pounded in his chest. The man, reckless in his desperation, was almost at the edge of the water, his right foot stepping onto a slippery rock as he reached for the outline of a child. "Wait!" Alex shouted again, the urgency in his voice melding with fear. "We need to be careful." But it was too late. The man lurched forward, losing his footing as his weight pulled him down. A splash erupted, sending ripples across the lake's surface. "Mia, stay back!" Emily shouted, pulling the little girl close as Alex rushed forward, adrenaline igniting every nerve in his body. The chill of the water licked at Alex's ankles as he leapt into the darkness. He squinted, searching for any glimpse of Evelyn through the rippling waves. Panic roared in his ears, driving him to keep searching despite the icy grasp of fear tightening around him. "Alice!" he yelled, the name tumbling from him like a lifeline, a desperate call to pull her back from whatever deep abyss had stolen her away. "Evelyn!" the man gasped, surfacing shallowly, his face drained of color. I can't see her. Over here." Alex's voice pierced through the chaos, spotting a small figure caught in a tangle of reeds. Heart racing, he dove deeper, the water rushing around him like a living thing. He felt the cold sink into his skin, stealing his breath, but he couldn't stop. He reached for Evelyn. Her small body thrashed, panic evident in her wide, frightened eyes. "I got you. I've got you," he shouted, pulling her close to him. "Just hold on to me." In that moment, all he felt was the heat of her tiny hand gripping his shirt. It was a spark of resolve, a thread of connection that kept him pushing against the current. With every ounce of strength, he kicked towards the surface, the weight of fear grinding at him. As they broke free from the water's embrace, a collective gasp arose from the shore. "I have her!" Alex shouted, relief washing over him as he pulled Evelyn into his arms. She coughed, sputtering water, but he held her close, feeling her warmth against the chill of the night. Mia. The man's voice was frayed with worry, eyes locked on the two figures emerging from the water. Emily rushed to meet them, grabbing Evelyn from Alex's grasp, relief flooding her expression. "She's okay." Tears brimmed in her eyes as she wrapped her arms around the shivering girl. Yet, Alex's heart dropped. But he panted, looking around. What about the man? Alex scanned the area. The man was still struggling, floating just beyond the water's edge, his breath uneven. "We need to help him." Alex shouted, the urgency igniting again. "Mia, stay here." Emily called, trying to shield the little girl from the chaos. Without hesitation, Alex stepped back into the frigid water, his muscles protesting against the cold. Each swim felt heavier, colder, and the distance seemed endless. Moments ticked by with agonizing slowness. "Hold on. Just hold on." As he reached the man, he could see panic etched deep in his features, desperation clawing at his resolve. "We're here." Alex gripped his arm, pulling him closer. "Let us go together." They kicked and struggled side by side, gasping for breath as they made their way back toward shore. Relief flooded through Alex as he felt the ground beneath his feet, each step feeling sacred, precious. When they finally emerged from the water, gathering themselves on the bank, the sounds of relief mixed with sobs filled the air. Emily hugged Evelyn tight, both of them shivering but alive. "Thank God," the man whispered, his eyes glistening with gratitude. They stood there, a small island of warmth and hope amid the cold darkness, realizing that no shadow could dim the light that had brought them together in the depths of despair. But as they caught their breath, a shiver of uncertainty gripped Alex. The night was deep and full of secrets. How had this all happened so fast? Did anyone else hear that? Mia's small voice broke through the moment, her eyes wide with concern that it took a moment for the others to register what she meant, when a sound broke the stillness of the night, a soft whimper. "Where is that coming from?" Alex asked, dread washing over him again. As they all turned toward the sound, a fresh wave of anxiety washed over the gathering. What more awaited them in the darkness? The air was dense with tension, a palpable dread threading through everyone present. They had fought so hard to rescue Mia and Evelyn, to pull them from the brink of darkness. Yet the lingering echo of a soft whimper was enough to chill Alex to the bone. "Listen," he urged, his heart racing once again. All eyes turned toward the thicket, straining to catch the source of the sound. Every moment that passed felt like an eternity, thick with unresolved emotions. With newfound determination, Alex stepped forward, squinting into the shadows as he moved cautiously toward the noise. The brush stirred, quivering with each breath of wind, yet sinister apprehension filled the space. He turned back briefly to look at Emily and the girls lingering at the water's edge, their faces pale but resolute. "Stay here," he told them. "Let me check it out. I won't be long." The unity they had forged that night was now etched firmly in his heart, but he needed to be the one to face the unknown this time. As he pushed past the dense underbrush, the whimper grew clearer, ringing like a fragile bell of distress. Each step brought more urgency, every rustle in the night wrapping around him like an embrace of dread. The shadows seemed to cling to him, and Alex felt his pulse quicken, sharp as a blade. There. A sudden movement in the underbrush drew him closer. He crouched low, peering through the branches, praying for a safe answer. Then, as his breath caught in his throat, a small, trembling form revealed itself to him, a small creature, lost and afraid. It was a puppy, whimpering softly among the leaves. Relief surged through him like a wave crashing on the shore, but the moment couldn't last. It was more than just a pet, it represented the remnants of fear, a living reminder of all they had fought against and the struggles yet to come. "Hey there, little guy," he whispered softly, crouching down to reach for it. The puppy's wide eyes stared back, trust mingling with uncertainty. Before he could grab it, a voice broke through the silence. "Alex, wait." Emily shouted, rushing to his side. I think something's wrong. Using his strength, he coaxed the puppy closer, feeling an urgent need to protect it, just like he felt for the children. But as soon as Emily came into view, the puppy disappeared deeper into the thicket, its whimper replaced by frightened barks. Mia! Evelyn! Stay back! He called, urgency in his voice, aware the puppy's fear may have riled up something beyond their comprehension. That he turned to Emily, who was scanning the darkness, her eyes fierce but kind. Let them know we found the puppy Bobby. That's what I'll call him. He proclaimed, every ounce of hope releasing his nerves like a spring. Bobby? You're naming him? Emily asked, half laughing in disbelief amidst the tension, but it drew a warmth to them even in the rain of uncertainty. The tension unwound slightly, allowing a flicker of light to seep through their fears. It was just a puppy, true, but it mirrored the trust the girls needed. With a deep breath, he lured the puppy forward once more, this time with Emily helping soothe it with soft words, bridging that gap of fear. Just as they managed to coax it, the distant laugh of laughter echoed from behind them. Mia! Evelyn! The voices came, carrying energy that crackled in the air. Moments later, those faces small and innocent appeared through the trees, the rush of delighted giggles weaving through the night. Did you find him? Mia exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she spotted the puppy in Alex's arms. Yeah, he has been lost, but now he is safe, Alex smiled, relief finally settling in his chest as he handed the puppy to Mia. The way her laughter soared skyward filled him with a sense of accomplishment that he never expected. But as the group gathered together, a realization set in. They didn't just rescue children or stock a new bond with a puppy, they had created connections out of the darkness. Alex felt a spark igniting within him, a new purpose blooming from the pain of the past. Evelyn and Mia played with Bobby, making him chase after their giggles, the haunting memories beginning to dissolve into the shadows. Alex turned to Emily. We need to help others feel this joy too, he said, his voice steady, filled with warmth and newfound determination. Just like we did tonight. An understanding passed between them, a thread woven through the lives they had just touched, binding them with hope and purpose. That was their foundation, a community brought together amid fear but focused on healing and unity. As the night gently faded into dawn, shadows retreated, and wisps of light broke through the dark. We did it, Alex whispered, looking into Emily's eyes. Together, we really did it. The laughter of the girls echoed back, joined their hearts, knitting them into a tapestry of love and recovery. The night had taught them the secret buried within their sorrow. Healing didn't mean forgetting, it meant forging new paths that led back to light, through the presence of those that tied them to each other. It was the end of one chapter, and the beginning of something beautiful, bathed gently in pink dawn glow. And as they stood united, hands touching, hearts open, Alex knew their journey had just begun. So here's the thing: do you want to stay connected with the stories that inspire? You need to subscribe now to the channel, so you don't miss out on the next exclusive adventures. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm so more people can see these transformations. Comment down below and share your thoughts on this ending. What did it mean to you? And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this hope. Let us spread the love and healing together.